Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the invitation to come and share some of our experience from Norway regarding utilization of geospatial information and building of a spatial data infrastructure. My name is Kare Kyrkjeeide. I'm the head of the international services within the Norwegian Mapping Authority, and I'm also responsible for the project we are implementing with the state GeoCadastre in Ukraine on that was mentioned in earlier presentation. Norway is an Arctic country, and I start with a picture from the Arctic area. This is from Ny-Ålesund, Spitsbergen, Svalbard, and it's our newly opened geodetic observatory in Ny-Ålesund. So this is a part of an international network of stations, and it's providing measurements for very long baseline interferometry in this international network. It's been a major investment by the Norwegian Mapping Authority, and we are looking forward to the services they can provide us in the future. So just some facts about Norway. It's we have 5 million inhabitants, a number of municipalities, a large number, and we have a large sea territory compared with our land territory. We have 3 million properties, and we have 1.6 million property transactions per year. So that gives you an idea about our country. In this presentation, I will give you just a brief background on the Mapping Authority and how we organize our SDI, the service-oriented infrastructure that we have established, and the Geoportal that we have built on top of this infrastructure, and some few examples on use and benefits and lessons learned. The Mapping Authority, we have 15 offices nationwide, and we have four divisions. It's the Geodetic Institute, it's the Land Registry, it's the Hydrographic Services, and it's the Land Mapping Division. And then we have the IT department, and that's the part of our organization that's growing very fast at the moment. Last week they passed 100 employees, so it's really showing the trend. Digital services, and that's getting more and more important in our organization. Our main task is to collect and manage and disseminate geographic data for land and marine areas. So this is a little special. I think we are one of the very few mapping authorities in the world that both cover land and marine areas. So we are building a model both on land and in the marine area. And this is very important in Norway, since we have a lot of aquaculture and fish farming industry along the coast, and then we need this kind of data, binding the land and marine data together. We work on value creation through digital processes and building infrastructures, and get more coordinated services across sectors and between the different administrative levels. So we are building this kind of highways between previously very isolated solutions. And this is very cost efficient for the public sector. So our experience that we have today more than 50 national authorities with an agreement to participate in the spatial data infrastructure, sharing their own data and utilizing the services that's provided from the other stakeholders. So this covers a number of different use cases in our society. Just a few details about the historic backdrop of this development. It more or less started more than 30 years ago when we started making standards for large-scale mapping in Norway. That was very important to involve the partners that needed this kind of data. And it was also the beginning of that we started to cooperate on data capture and cost sharing of collecting and maintaining the large-scale data for Norway. So that has been running for 25 years. Then we got cooperation on the SDI. We call it the Norway Digital. It's been going on for 15 years. And 10 years ago, we got the Geodata Act that implemented this Inspire directive in Norway. So today we have more than 600 stakeholders with an agreement from national to local level participating in the geographic infrastructure. And an important first phase was that we, more than 15 years ago, we provided access to our potential stakeholders, access to a seamless web map service for a national base map. So this was very useful, and our stakeholders, they included this in their day-to-day operations and in their web pages. So it looks like this, going from the small scale down to the large scale data. So this is today very much utilized, and it's a very popular service. So we that was more or less the beginning. I think that this showed the potential for how you can use the services and put your more thematic information on top of this layer. And the reason why we were able to do this was that we had been working on this cooperation, the cost sharing of the data, to establish the data. And we have this model for how to share the cost. It's the diagram shows how we share the cost between the local government, the municipalities, the road administration, the water power companies, agricultural sector, telecom sector, and the mapping agency. So this is one of the areas that we really want to develop further, how to utilize this national large-scale map database. So our aim is to get a full 3D model to support new use cases. And at the moment we are also centralizing the original data set. It's hosted by the Norwegian Mapping Authority, but we synchronize updates from the municipalities every night. So 80% of the municipalities, they provide updates by geosynchronizing. So we can really say that we get geospatial information for breakfast every day. They come into the database and are visible through our services the next day. So we, as a public authority, we have more or less responsibility to establish a kind of ecosystem. We see that in the increased complexity in society and need for knowledge gives a pressure on the public sector to provide the data as a resource for the society. So, and we see also the innovation, that there's a lot of innovation projects going on to get a more automated public sector. We have a project at the moment aiming at providing building permit, automatic building permit, and that's a use case that really needs very, very good basic data and thematic data. So our user orientation becomes very crucial, and we every day have to pursue the benefits of digitization. So our goal is more or less to offer an open platform for innovation for everybody, and you could say, like they do in UK, government as a platform should be a good slogan for us. And this is more or less the backdrop, because for the start of the work on a national geospatial information strategy. It is based on a broad stakeholder involvement, both with the public authorities, the private sector, and the politicians. And it more or less binds together all the factors that impact our use of geographic data. And our ministry published the strategy October last year, and it has the title "Everything Happens Somewhere." And it provides 4 main goals, a number of targets and actions. It's about data content, it's about technology and tools, it's about cooperation and framework conditions and policies. And One of the main actions that we are working on is to develop a national Geoportal. It's called GeoNorge. And the vision for our national Geoportal is that all geographic information should be published and available through this single site. You should find everything here, and you should find information you need to connect to the services and integrate it to your own user application. I lagged a little behind here. Sorry. The Geoportal have a number of tools. The core tool is the metadata catalog, but there are tools for monitoring response time on the services, quality control, validation. You get access to download services and APIs, and also if you need symbols and pictograms, you can find it. And there are also reporting tools showing what kind of data the different stakeholders have established and provided. And the Geoportal provides open and free access to an increasing number of thematic data sets and data layers and services. And this is an example on how we give information about the official authoritative data layers of the NSDI. As we use some pictograms, green, yellow, and red, to indicate how we fulfill the different requirements for each of the data sets. So if you have an angry red face there, then the data provider should take a look and see if they can improve the quality of that service. We collect the content into cross-sectoral teams, a collection of teams that should underpin different use cases. And this is from the Geoportal, and you can go, for example, to crisis management. And you will find a collection of data that's more or less going into the common operational picture for crisis management for all the different authorities that have a responsibility in crisis management. So another important problem at the moment is increasing. We have experienced more and more flooding, and this is an example. This is an example on how we just a little stream that, due to heavy rain, become a large river running through one of our big hospitals in Norway, making a lot of damage. And the Geoportal provides a number of data sets on elevation data that you can use to do better planning and do impact analysis for flooding. So you can combine these different data sets with orthophotos and terrain models and so on. And this is more or less the reason why we got a political will to support the establishment of a detailed elevation model for the whole country. The message was that detailed elevation data can prevent loss of lives and values and will give socio-economic profit. We carried out a cost-benefit analysis on a very broad basis. It was much about adaptation to climate change, flooding, agricultural, forestry, and so on. And it was calculated to be a value 3 times the investment. And in our case, the investment was 50 million euro to establish this database for the whole country. Yeah, then I'm going to close this presentation, but I have some lessons that we have learned, just a few statements. We see that in Norway, we see that a voluntary cooperation, it works. It's certainly supported by legislation and regulation, but the importance of the common understanding of the value of sharing open data is more or less the basis for it all. We see there is a need for this cross-sector approach and involvement, and it should also be across levels of administration. The technical framework and Geoportal supporting interoperability and integration of authoritative data and services is very crucial for the further use of this data. And we see there is a need for a national strategy connecting the geospatial ecosystem with other policy areas in the society. So that concludes my presentation. I finish my presentation also in the Arctic area, so I thank you for your attention. Thank you.